Okay, so now we're going to talk about segmental awareness of your body. So you want to think of your hip pelvic area. If you think of yourself as like a snow person, you generally 3 balls. If you just drew a sketch of that, 3 balls stacked on top of each other, the hip pelvic area here, then you have more like your torso area here, and then your head on top. Now the trick here is you want to think about, if I'm just going to show you with my hands and my backside where my shoulder blades would be somewhere around here, okay? So you really want to think about that space across that chest where my emblem is here, where the hands are here. That's the area that's going to be really solid and not moving as much because of the extra stability you get from the scapular musculature and the shoulder blades themselves. And then that leaves a pretty big gap from the bottom of the shoulder blades down to like your top of your pelvis, this whole, basically the whole core area. So one thing to consider is that for a lot of people, they end up beating up their low back or the lumbar spine in general because they typically will twist too much from that low back rather than twisting from below the scapular area here. So you want to think of your ball, the lower ball, of course, is the bigger ball in a snow person. You want to think about that being all the way up to the bottom of the ribs, basically. So when you hinge and rotate, you want to hinge just below that scapular area here. So it takes a little bit of work, and as you stretch tall, you'll feel your core engage. You want to stabilize and lock down that low back a little bit. It's still going to twist some, but you want to limit it, basically. So we want more rotation here. Now, up top, at the top of the shoulder blade area, not the neck, because most of the neck doesn't rotate that well. We got to come down below kind of the collarbone area. Right here, we want to focus on some rotation here. So I don't want to just turn my head because I can, because although the upper cervical spine does create a lot of our rotation, we don't want to put too much stress and strain because that oftentimes leads to too much tightness in those muscles and oftentimes pain. So we want to think about rotation more down here. So keep yourself tall and think of like a cylinder turning more so than like cranking your neck like this. So think about a smaller motion with more movement here. And I can actually feel that if I come just above my collarbone here, I can feel that, or I can reach back here, or I can crisscross and kind of catch it here too. Just gently make sure that's moving on both sides, okay? So that movement is important, this movement is important, and what's in between is this. So I can turn my head and my 2 balls on top of the lower ball by isolating that hinging point here, or I can turn my top one on that one by isolating here, or I can keep my head steady and my pelvic area steady and twist my midsection. And I can make that a little easier if I do a little pistoning action here. If you're doing the no money thing, you can turn both hands like this, kind of like a little hula dance kind of thing here. So you want to get that sensation of that middle torso here moving versus the other things, which technically they're all moving on each other. It's just these ones are stationary while that moves. And that's how you can kind of hone in on some coordination patterns that are really important for that stuff. That's it.